Now to the first story. The country may have to do more when it comes to improving the environment for agribusiness. The latest World Bank report highlights how regulatory actions are impacting the agricultural sector. The following Business Desk report has more.
Reports show that with the exception of finance, where the country was ranked 16th out of 62 countries, which can be described as above average, Ghana performed poorly in 7 other areas. In the area of finance, the report revealed that the regulatory environment was quite good for firms in the sector to secure the required funding, as well as an efficient warehousing system. However, when it came to seed, fertilizer, markets and transportation, Ghana's score was not even above the global average. For instance, for measurable indicators like seed, which looks at the provision of seed for farmers, the country was ranked 48 out of 62 countries. On transportation, which considers the movement of farm produce, the country was ranked 59 out of the 62 countries. According to the World Bank, the aim of this report is to promote smart regulations that ensure safety and quality control, as well as efficient regulatory processes that support thriving agribusinesses.
Meanwhile, the World Bank is asking government to start emphasizing agribusiness as if it really wants to attract private sector support and eventually reduce poverty. Fabod Yusefi is the program manager of the World Bank enabling the Business of Agriculture report.
Right. So in seed, even though it's below the global average, it actually has strong laws and regulations related to registration. But when it comes to, for example, breeding, its laws are not that what we see in the global average. So it's an opportunity to understand some of the improvements to be done in these areas.
Moving into the future, what does this mean to the food security of the country?
So, food security is clearly an important aspect in any country's agriculture and food system. But perhaps going beyond that, agriculture really can unleash its potential to stimulate growth, to provide employment, jobs, to address poverty when it's seen not only as subsistence and security, but it's seen as a business, right? To the degree that agriculture is a business, is profitable, is appealing, and is seen and dealt with as a business, then it really blossoms, right? And this tool helps us evaluate what are those conditions for agriculture to be a business and to be an attractive business.
Okay, but in order to make it attractive business, as you say, what are some of the measures that you think Ghana or government can put in place to ensure that the dream of making it an attractive business is being realized?
Yeah. Now, an analysis of that kind needs to come from experts that includes people that are in the country, right? So myself, that I come from a more global prospect, I can say that definitely one of the components of an enabling environment for agribusiness is a strong legal and regulatory framework, right? And that there are certain areas within that framework where improvements could be made. There could be greater efficiency of the regulatory processes, in registration processes. There's some information measures that can be taken to provide more information to the private sector.
Now, still staying on agric, prices of food, of some foodstuffs have marginally shot up as compared with the same period last year. This is what some traders at the Kaneshi and Malamata markets in Accra are saying. According to them, prices of basic staples like rice and yam have shot up significantly compared with the same period last year. Charles Aite has been assessing the situation and has come through with this report.
It's the second month of the year. We're currently in February, and just on the minds of various Ghanaians is of whether or not the prices of foodstuffs on the market stabilize.
The need doubling your budget for some foodstuffs on the market. This is because traders the cost of basics as compared to last year. Aisha is a trader who deals in the sale of yams. She tells her business that the cost of 3 tubers of yam with cities in 2017 now goes for between 10 and 18 cities this year.
August, me 10 cedi.
In August 2017, 3 tubers of yam were being sold at 10 cedis. But now, you'll get those same 3 tubers of yam for between 15 to 18 cedis.
No, Benny Ebe here, 4 10 cedis. She be an about 12 cedis.
Case with maize was no exception, as traders say the price for a bag doubled compared to last year. Ma, Lizzie and Faustina are both traders who engage in the maize business for 20 years. They tell the business the main staple continued to be faced with several challenges.
Oh, I feel no be was shock when you was saying. The
price of maize has shot up unimaginably. Our customers are even shying away from buying them. Last year by this time, a bag of maize was going for 150 cedis. But this year, a bag is going for 220 cedis.
2.2. Nicolo ehune babelia mi hana belia hu e fata hini jala ewa e wa kwe koni kolo e agbiami.
The invasion of weevils has affected the price of maize. It's now scarce. We have to travel as far as Niger to buy maize.
A cup of white beans is being sold at 4 cedis as compared to 3 cedis, while a small bucket of tomatoes is going for 7 cedis as compared to 6 cedis last year. One bowl of gari goes for 5 cedis as compared to 3 cedis last year, depending on the quality, while a 5-kilo bag of perfume rice is selling at 27 cedis as compared to 20 cedis last year.
From our interactions with market queens and traders, it's very clear that the prices of plantain and yam have shot up very much, that even consumers are just complaining because this helps from patronizing these very staples. We get an update from other markets as we gauge price analysis, especially as we enter into the second month of 2018. Charles Aita reporting here from the Kanishi market in Accra.
Meanwhile, Isoko Ghana, an information and communications platform for agric markets, is further hinting of price hikes in basic staples like maize and local rice. This follows their assessment of commodity prices at the various markets, which is indicating a marginal increase from that of 2017. Once again, Charles Aite has been speaking to content manager of Isoko Ghana, Francis Dansueje.
The year has begun. I mean, we're in the second month of the year, and of course, the very question that so many consumers, especially Ghanaians, who often rely on staples across the local markets, are going to be looking out for the prices of these staples. Are they stabilizing? Are they increasing or are reducing? Well, we're currently here at Isoko, which is the communications and information platform for various agricultural markets across Africa. Of course, they have stationed here in Ghana as well to help us understand the dynamics in terms of market pricing when it comes to the basic commodities in our various local markets. And I'm currently joined by the content manager of Isoko to help us understand, Francis Dansueje, to help us understand the dynamics. Many thanks for joining. First of all, what is the situation like when it comes to the pricing on commodities in the local markets?
So thank you for the question. When you the prices, it is not deviating so much from previous trends we have. We have just begun the year, and then most prices are beginning to be stable a bit, and then in the next few months we expect that some of them will be dropping. And so for the price of maize, for instance, we are looking at in Agribusiness, a bag currently for maize is around 150 Ghana cedis, which last year in 2017, so currently it is around 160, which last year was around 150. So we are seeing that small percentage of increment in that. When we take plantain, those of you who love ampesi, in 2018, January, we are looking at an average of about 20 Ghana cedis, and in 2017 the price was a bit higher, around 21 Ghana cedis that we had.
So maize went up slightly, but plantain came down.
If you look at December and then January, you realize that we had a lot of plantain on the market, and even currently, if you go around the market, you see that there are a lot of plantain in the market. That is accounting for the slight decrease in price.
So you have talked about maize, you've talked about plantain. Which other staples are we also should be looking out for?
So let me talk about cassava for those of us who love fufu. We are looking at, in 2017, a bag that was the 50 kg bag with a cap was around 57 Ghana cedis, and then in 2018 we are looking at 65 Ghana cedis, which is also giving us a slight increase in the price of the commodity. Let us also bear in mind that with cassava, during the latter part of the year, we didn't have bumper harvest, and now the ground is also dry, and so harvesting is a bit difficult. So that is accounting for the price changes that we have currently in the price.
So maize went up, plantain came down a little bit, cassava also went up. What is the situation with other staples as well?
So if we look at the other staples that we have, let's take rice, which is our local rice. We are looking at, in 2018, a bag, that is the maxi bag of the milled rice, the white one, is costing around 438 Ghana cedis, as against, and in 2016, that was 2017, that was around 451 Ghana cedis. So in one, we realize that there has been a slight increase in the price of the commodity. We are looking at this, and we should also not forget that for some of these commodities, last year the government introduced a policy, planting for food, and then they gave seeds to some of these farmers. We should also not forget that last year there were some issues of fall armyworm infestation, and so all this is accounting for the price changes that we are having currently. So now you see that maize is inching up a bit. It's going to go a bit higher in February, and then around March, April, it will start declining again. So all these, we are seeing the effect of some of the things that happened in the previous season currently in this year.
So help us understand, if you had to, channel these very information to viewers who are kind of watching us, what kind of advice would you have for them, especially those who often do say that the price analysis often tend to fluctuate? If you go to Kaneshie, it's somewhere higher. If you go to Makola, it's way lower. So based on your own analysis, which kind of markets, local markets, are we seeing the prices of these commodities relatively cheaper?
In Accra, I'll advise that if you want prices, if you want cheaper commodities, then you go to Agribusiness, because Agribusiness is a wholesale market where all the other regions, they bring the goods and then dump them there for onward distribution. And so if you compare prices in Agribusiness to Kaneshie and then Tema, you realize that Tema will be the highest in terms of price. And so if you want cheaper commodities, then you have to come to Agribusiness very early in the morning, and then you can shop and go back.
All right, thank you very much, Francis. So that's kind of a piece of advice there too.
Let's now turn attention to the power sector. And State Power Generator VRA has given new evidence in a statement which suggests the operations would not be affected despite the shutdown of the Jubilee FPSO and their turbo gas processing plant. Now, George Wiafe has been going through the statement and has joined me right here in the studio for some more details. Now, George, what are the details captured in this statement?
Now, we know that the Aboasie enclave depends heavily on gas from their turbo processing plant, and therefore everybody thought that the Aboasie enclave contributes a lot of power to the national grid and that supplied everybody. So we all thought that, well, there's going to be a problem. But what they're telling us going through the statement is that no, they are contingency measures that are in place. And they are telling us that they're going to buy light crude oil that would actually help generate about 300 megawatts power from that particular area to supply. They're also expecting some 200 megawatts of power supply from Ivory Coast to try and feed into our systems and then supply the national grid. Also, the assurance going through the statement, or what they're communicating to us, is that all the other plants, thermal, solar, are going to operate at optimal capacity. So with respect to what they would have lost in terms of the gas supply from their top processing plant, all these other plants again would come in to support. But it's interesting VRA is coming with this statement and assuring enough, because even though they were heavy on gas, you need some time to switch from gas to crude. But I don't know what the latest technology they've actually put in place for these infrastructure that they can quickly switch from gas to light crude in terms of power generation. That's what they've been telling us when you go through the statement.
Now, for industry, what does it mean? What has industry been reacting?
A lot of people, if you follow the conversation yesterday, it was clear even for the Ghana National Gas Company, they were saying that there will be problems with power supply. So then additional cost. Then how should you structure your operations? Don't forget that some of these industries deal directly with VRA. And so if VRA is going to be hit, they think that they'll be the first casualty, and that domestic consumers will often be given the priority over industry. So for them, it's good news for them. They'll be making some savings. Speaking to the chief executive of AGI, he was so excited about this assurance and the fact that going forward, industries will be given some priority, even if they have to do some rationing or maybe load shedding and all those things. So it's more of good news for them, and they believe that nothing would happen that would impact on the operations badly.
Now, should we not be too skeptical, so to speak, especially with the financial situation of government, especially when in the past the VRA has had problems in financing crude oil?
In the past, we've not had such a statement coming in from VRA, giving us a breakdown on how things would work out. So it's interesting. But that is why we also went to government to engage them and tell us that what have you done? What are you doing in terms of providing the funding for these institutions? Let's watch Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam trying to give us some explanation or some assurance here with respect to giving these companies the required funds for the operations.
I don't think we have faced that problem. Since they came into government, we haven't had shortage of power resulting from lack of fuel. You know, if you have shortage of power because you have no fuel, and it is not attributed to a shutdown, for instance, of the FPSO or of the processing plant, then there is no financial problem matter. And therefore, the fact that we haven't faced that problem should assure you that government is committed to providing all the money required to ensure that we have enough fuel to fire our plant.
And also the argument about the fact that allowing these two critical infrastructures to shut down, one would say, couldn't we have, had an arrangement where the Jubilee would go down FPSO when they are done, and then Atuabo also goes down? Having these two going down at the same time could come as a huge cost to you.
Well, that's not good for us, because if Jubilee shuts down and Atuabo is allowed to operate, how will it operate? Because they're supposed to process gas from Jubilee. And therefore, if Jubilee shuts down, there will still not be gas, because Atuabo will be idling. And therefore...
Right, so that was the Deputy Energy Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam. Now, George, for consumers, what should they be doing?
As I tried to explain earlier on, that this statement from VRA is quite assuring. And we are hoping that they will live by this assurance, by those breakdowns they've given to us that this is what they've done. It means that we have to, for the next 2 weeks, you are assured of uninterrupted power supply, only if there's a generation problem. Don't forget that sometimes we have some distribution problems as well, even area transformers not working well and all those things. So if it has to do with sustained power supply problems, then we are sure that for the next 2 weeks, everything will be okay for us.
We hardly talk about Akosombo hydropower project. Is it functioning?
Well, if VRA is saying that all these infrastructures or infrastructure are going to operate at optimal capacity, okay, I believe that VRA is included.
Yeah, Akosombo.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Yafi.
That was my colleague, George Yafi, bringing us up to speed with the evidence-based statement by the VRA indicating that all is well for the power sector. Away from that, the earthenware bowl business has faced some stiff competition from the blenders, given that blenders do the job of mashing easier and faster for traders of the traditional bowl in Tanoso. However, business is booming, except they expect better returns with government's one district, one factory policy. They are therefore calling for a speedy execution of the projects in their districts, from where Joy News' Gifty Ando Apia reports.
On the streets of the Bonohafo region, you will not miss the lined-up earthenware. Almost all of the traders of earthenware are women with children.
Necessity is said to be the mother of all inventions, and that is what can be said about canoe peddlers on the Ofin River in the Ashanti region. Traveling by canoe is the only means of traveling across the area, and this has indeed created business for residents. Prince Apia visited the community and tells us the story of how some farmers paddle canoes for extra income.
So between the regions of Central and Ashanti region is this river on the River Ofin.
The journey from one side to the other is a source of income for locals. 50-year-old Kofi Ajimai is in charge of this canoe, on which he carries people and cargo to and from each side. He has been the lead rower for 2 years.
Start as early as 6 a.m. and close at 6:30 p.m. This work is for the community, the committee that oversees. We account to the committee every week.
Ajingo, as he is popularly known, makes between 15 and 20 cedis for himself every week after meeting obligations to the unit committee.
It is 1 cedi per 1 week cruise. If you don't have money, we take anything, especially foodstuffs. We show sympathy to those who do not have money. With the students who cross, the parents bring us farm produce for the week, or 1 cedi for the week. I am a farmer as well, so we run shifts. I do it for 2 weeks, then my other colleague takes over, so I can go to farm. We make between 15 and 20 cedis in a week.
People in over 10 communities along the banks of the river engage in commercial and social activities on both ends. Amabuame is one of the farmers who ply their route to their farms every day. She is a regular patron of this canoe.
I cross the river to my every day. When overflows its bank, we can cross the river to our farms, so we are unable to get farm produce for our homes.
The peddlers take into account the recurrent challenge by charging extra money or take foodstuff in default. Call it barter trade. Asoko is the other peddler.
The challenge is that when the river overflows the bank, nobody can cross. So we, the drivers, take money from residents and buy foodstuffs across the river to the other town for them.
And that will be a wrap on this edition of The Marketplace. It's been a great time having your company throughout the week on The Marketplace. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Riafi. Let's meet again, same time next Monday for more interesting developments in the world of business. Have a good afternoon.